Hello there, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week, weekly, twice a week every week, actually. And on that show, we talk about pop culture news, entertainment news, movie reviews, TV reviews, and even gaming news. And you guys, as you know, and you heard that I said last time, my good friend Dread Roberts, who is often on this show, he's been doing some stuff with his family. There's some things going on. Everything is perfectly fine. Everything is okay, but he needs to do some stuff with his family. Hopefully, we'll see him on the show soon. In the meantime, and I'm very grateful for this. My friend Professor R2 was able to kind of step in here, and this is a really good person to step in exactly when we're doing this kind of Acolyte episode review because of his knowledge of Star Wars and just in general, he's just a really kind of smart guy and a good guy to talk to about this kind of stuff. How's it going, man?
Doing great. Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate it. It's great to
And,
get a
and th-
chance to talk with you. And, I don't mind stepping in here at the last minute. I've gotten a bit of a reputation for being someone to come in in the clutch. So,
no, you know what? The truth is that last time you came in the clutch, and I really appreciated it. And I've been on other streams with you before, so I already knew your stuff. But this time, even if Dread would have been here, I would have suggested that we call you because I think it would have been a cool discussion to have. But in any case, I'm very thankful that you were able to kind of step in and join us, and I'm sure everybody in our audience appreciates it. Uh, we have a nice audience here on Rumble listening to us, and a few other platforms. And just in general, I mean, you don't have to go into specifics, but it was the fifth episode of The Acolyte this week, the show that is Kathleen Kennedy's baby, and it's created by Harvey W.'s former assistant.
oh
Uh,
yes,
how do you feel about this show until now?
up to this point, it's it's garbage. I'm not really sure what other words I would use. It's pretty terrible. I mean, honestly, as far as plot and characters and everything go, it's just not good. It might be some of the worst television I've ever seen, much less some of the worst Star Wars. I mean, it really is pretty rough. There's a lot of defenders out there. Obviously, we can talk more about some of the online discourse conversations that have been happening around Star Wars over the last few weeks, but in general, it is just not very good. This particular episode, I thought, was perhaps a little bit better than some of the previous episodes, but all in all, I really was not that impressed with it. So
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, this episode probably was the best out of like everything we've seen until now, and it was a crappy episode, which
yeah,
is really that's not a good sign.
no, no, not at all. I can see. This was quoted as being Leslye Headland, former assistant to Harvey Weinstein. It was quoted as being her favorite episode of the season. So if that's the case, I can't even imagine what we're in for the next three episodes. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this one seemingly had some action in it. It's like as if
it did.
things were happening. But if you really think about it, what was happening in this thing? Nothing really. It
No,
was another it was another bottleneck episode that they're running around the same forest that they were running around in last episode.
yeah. I mean, it picks up pretty much right where we left off from the previous episode, but once again, hardly anything happens. We get almost nothing. There's no really consequential dialogue. Obviously, there's some deaths of characters that we've spent no time with. We don't know them. They're just red shirts, right? There's a couple of other characters we've spent a little time with, but over a 4 episode span up till this point, maybe we've spent 10 or 15 minutes with them at most, right? So it's made, oh, these characters that we don't love these characters, we barely know who these characters are. They're dead, of course, so whatever. It's spoilers, everybody. But it's there's just so little going on and actually happening in the episode. It's kind of amazing. I mean, obviously the episodes are extremely short for a show running today, just like 28 minutes, 27 minutes of actual content when you take out the previously on and the credits. There's just so little happening. I feel like everything that has happened so far in these first 5 episodes, we could have gotten in a single hour.
Yeah, I mean, this is a syndrome that we keep seeing with all of these stupid these stupid Disney Plus shows in general. It's not even exclusive to Star Wars. It's I really feel that a lot of these properties that they thought would be so great to transfer from the big screen to the small screen, they haven't really proven themselves. That doesn't mean that you can't make good Star Wars content or MCU content, whatever it is that is more long form. You absolutely can. They just don't know how to do it. They absolutely don't know what they're doing. Every single thing they do in the MCU and in this Star Wars thing, when they do it for Disney Plus, it feels to me like a J.J. Abrams type of storytelling. You just it's almost like he has a playbook. It's like his Force Awakens playbook mixed with Lost. They just they create some kind of all these mystery boxes, like, oh, who's this person, who's that person, who's behind the mask, who's behind this, who's behind that. And meanwhile they just kind of do some nostalgia. Every episode there's a character that says something that you've heard in a prequel or something like that, just
Sure.
to give you a feeling of, or even the regular, the original trilogy, just to give you a feeling of nostalgia. But at the end, when you really look at it, there's absolutely no substance. Even like the dialogue and everything they're trying to do, it's just, there's nothing there.
Yeah. Oh, the dialogue has just been
Terrible.
atrocious. This episode might be one of the least offensive as far as dialogue goes, because there's not a whole lot of dialogue anyway. In this particular episode, there is quite a bit of action, but uh, oh yeah, the dialogue has been just. I mean, uh, a lot of people say it's cringe. It's weak. It's poorly written dialogue, and it repeats itself. Like you said, a lot of it sometimes relies on, oh, I've heard that line before, that kind of stuff. It's yeah, the mystery box stuff is getting extremely old and played out. It's like, well, oh well, if we just keep you guessing, you're going to keep coming back for more. But eventually, you open up so many mystery boxes, and they're all just nothing.
I've never liked this strategy. I mean, listen, back in the day, many years ago, it's nice to have a mystery. It's nice when sometimes there's a mystery and you have to discover it, and there's secrets and twists. It's not a bad thing in general. The problem is that, and I don't know why I always think of him for this, but basically, he is the one that really made this such a kind of over commercialized thing, which is J.J. Abrams. When he came out with like Lost, I know some people like that show, but honestly, the funny thing is, and I always say this and it's the truth, I started watching like, the earlier episodes of Lost because a friend of mine made me watch some with him. And I picked up immediately. I told him, this is one of those situations that you're just going to get jerked around. I don't like whatever is going on here, and I just stopped watching. And everybody's like, "It's such an amazing show. I want to know what happens next. Like, what about this mystery and what about that mystery?" And at the end, you got to the end of the show. I didn't watch the end of the show. I know most people that got there were just thinking like, was it really worth all of this time and energy that I spent on this show? Has that show really held up as some kind of magnificent piece of storytelling? No, in my opinion.
No, no,
It's basically, and that thing falsely gave the idea that J.J. Abrams is some kind of storyteller. He's not a storyteller. It's a cheat. It basically, when you want to tell stories, there's certain things you could do that are considered cheats. Now, once in a while, you don't have any choice. You know what I mean? You have a lot of stuff going on, maybe good
sure.
storytelling, and once in a blue moon, you say, you know what? Let's just have this happen, and we'll say it's a coincidence. And people may let it slide, but you can get away with that once, you know what I mean? Or You can do some mystery boxes or this or that. You can get away with these things once in a while, but when your whole storytelling technique is that, it starts to become a problem. And all of these shows, and especially these Star Wars shows, they follow this J.J. Abrams thing. And that also is the J.J. Abrams. He took that kind of mentality and he brought it to The Force Awakens and to Rise of Skywalker. Basically, nostalgia. Just you remember this line from a movie, you like this thing, you remember, does this remind you of something that you like?
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm going to give that to you, a little bit of nostalgia. At the same time, who's this person? Who's that person? How do I find this? And also, they're always they have to go from here to go over there. There's like always a side quest of a side quest of a side quest of a side quest.
The fetch quests. Oh, it's just the worst. That was the entire film with the last
the film, Rise of Skywalker.
That was the whole thing, was just, we got to go here to get the thing so that we can go to this other place and find that thing, and then that's going to tell us where to go next. And it was just such a mess. And yeah, the whole, you're right. I mean, JJ, he's played out all of those things over and over again. Everyone knows what that playbook is going to look like. The mystery boxes are just full of nothing. It's a real awful mess. So
no, the thing is that sometimes you can have that kind of mentality and it could work. And I'll give you an example.
You can.
I don't know. I think it was maybe I don't know if it was Kurtzman or Orky or Orky and Kurtzman. They were like on Hawaii 5-0 initially. I don't know if maybe they were involved in Hawaii 5-0. That show, the reboot of Hawaii 5-0 was a dumb, stupid show. And they'd have like these kind of key jangling mysteries at the end of some episodes to try to get you interested in seasonal arcs. It was really cheap storytelling. But the thing is, for a show that's just about a bunch of cops that are finding like a criminal every week and just shooting up some places, it's not such a big deal. You're not walking in there expecting anything else than a few cops just shooting their guns in all different directions, trying to capture a few criminals. That's the idea of the show. And you can pepper in these type of stupid things because it doesn't really matter. But when it's like a Star Wars series that's supposed to be some high quality thing with such an expensive budget, and it's supposed to be such a kind of artistic thing almost, with such tradition and such fandom, and it's so high profile, and this is what you do, that's where the problem is, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah, we were talking about Lost earlier, and yeah, you know what? The first season I really enjoyed, and there was all sorts of mystery. There were things like, oh, how can this possibly happen? How does that work? And of course, after that first season, when the show really blew up, we were really promised by the creators that, oh, hey, we're gonna. We know everything that's happening, and there's rational things behind everything that's going on and whatever. Every bit of it was a complete lie. By the time they hit the third season, it was clear that they had absolutely no idea where they were going. And that some of the mystery boxes were going to be completely empty. We were never going to get any kind of answers.
Well, first of all,
we were doing.
Before we continue, in addition to the really nice audience that's building up here on Rumble, we also have some people that have come from the YouTube end, and I want to thank 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. He does Toxic Tuesdays. I believe he was just watching Double Impact, which is a very important movie in cinema. It has both Jean-Claude Van Damme in his prime, and I believe it was Dennis Rodman. Is that the one that I'm thinking of, or?
I don't remember that one.
Double Impact. I thought it was with Dennis Rodman. An unlikely pairing. If you're in the chat and you can see this, you can tell me. Why did I? Oh, sorry, that's not the one. Which one was the one with Dennis Rodman? No, this is the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme. There's two of them. It's kind of like The Acolyte.
Yeah,
kind of like The Acolyte, but with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And you know what? I would rather watch, unironically, Double Impact with Jean-Claude Van Damme playing two Jean-Claude Van Dammes than The Acolyte with this
with Amandla Stenberg
with
playing
Amandla Stenberg. You know what?
Oh, jeez.
Say what you want about Jean-Claude Van Damme. I believe that he can play two roles just as well as Amanda Stenberg. And if you don't buy that he's playing two roles, I think at least the action will be pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
fine. He's not the best actor. He's not the best actor. But you know what? You give him some action, at least he could do that at the time. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think which one was it Double Kick? What was the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman? I feel like that was a movie. Is this like a Mandela effect?
Mandela Effect here. Double Team is the movie you are thinking of. Double Team.
Double Team.
Yeah,
Yes,
from
Double Team.
97.
Okay, come on. Double Impact and Double Team. You can't
That's real easy to get those two mixed up. That's
nobody can blame me here. I mean,
yeah,
come
no,
on.
no, not
They're
at all.
both with Jean-Claude Van Damme. One is called Double Team and one is Double Impact. But you know what? None of this matters. Uh, the truth is that Jean-Claude Van Damme, I would prefer to watch him do, two different roles of twins on a Star Wars than Amanda Stenberg.
Yeah.
Like I said, even today, I'd rather see that. At least, even at his age now, could probably do pretty good action.
Thanks for the tip off on that one, Keely Chow. Appreciate it.
Yeah, people are here.
Yeah.
Thanks for the help, guys. Sorry, I kind of was.
I don't remember either of them. I guess I do kind of remember Double Impact. I think I might have seen that one with Jean-Claude Van Damme playing the two different characters, but I do not remember Double Team at all. I don't remember seeing that one. It says it was an action comedy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. But in
But
any
yeah,
case,
the mystery box stuff is just it's so played out now, especially when we've seen so many times when the creators can't deliver on it. They can't deliver on something that's actually going to be interesting. It's actually going to, you know, carry you forward through the show. And then, when when it's just like one mystery box after another.
no, and these series, it becomes even worse because every week at the end, they want to just leave it like some open-ended thing that oh, I have to know what happens next time. But the truth is that because the storytelling is so poor and whoever is making these shows is so bad at doing it, that you don't even really care about the next episode. I'm only watching it just kind of like out of almost like watching a train wreck. That's why I'm watching this show. At this point, I don't have any faith in Star Wars. I don't think anything's good happening with the franchise. I have no faith in Kathleen Kennedy or Disney
Oh
or
no.
anything. It's just they're ruining it so much, and it's become such a stupid joke at this point that you just kind of watch it just for the train wreck, I guess.
Yeah, as I said on another stream, I think Star Wars really, I think it really hit me that it was dead with Ahsoka. That show was just awful.
It
I couldn't
was.
believe how bad it was. I was blown away at how bad it was because I actually did enjoy the Rebels TV series. It was a little made for kids. Obviously, that was the audience they were going for were kids and preteens, but I enjoyed it for the most part. I thought actually it had some pretty good characters and some pretty well told stories. So when they said, "Hey, we're going to bring Ahsoka back and it's kind of going to be the next season of Rebels and stuff," I actually thought, "Hey, that might be good. That would be fascinating," since the third season of The Mandalorian was so rough. I mean, it was
I,
oh, it
I,
was bad.
it was terrible. And actually, I'm ashamed to say that I also quite enjoyed Rebels. I mean, sure, I agree with you. There were moments that you felt that it was more of an animated show, maybe sometimes for a little bit of a younger audience. But there were episodes that I thought that they did some cool stuff. And I genuinely sat there and thought, you know what? I kind of enjoyed this. Like, I wasn't suffering watching it. I thought that there were episodes there that I enjoyed. I
Yeah,
didn't mind the crew that they presented and the characters. And really doing that Ahsoka show, they had a lot more to work with than usual because they already established some kind of, a group of characters that you kind of enjoyed seeing.
yeah,
And if they would have just done something along those lines and continued the story in live action, I think
yeah,
people would have been okay with it. Somehow they took every even mildly likable character on that Rebels show and made them a complete the men became like bums like Ezra Bridger.
yeah.
Man, did they make that
Oh
guy a bum.
man.
I couldn't believe how much of a bum they made him, and Sabine became insufferable.
She did.
Hera, I don't even know how they kind of made Hera so annoying. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
really liked that character on the show. I thought she was cool, and they also had an actress that played her that had a voice that was kind of very
Ugh,
soothing. You kind
yeah.
of just enjoyed hearing her talk, and she was had this kind of warm personality. Here they brought like Ewan McGregor's wife. Uh, I'm sure that her
Yeah.
casting had nothing to do with the fact that he agreed to do that Obi-Wan show for
No, not at
Lucasfilm.
all.
I'm sure that,
Never.
like, it never came up in the conversation. He
No.
didn't say something like, "Hey, I'll do this Obi-Wan show, but you better take my wife. Please take my wife." No, I'm just kidding. You better take my you better take my wife. Sorry, I couldn't. I don't know
Yeah.
what is it, like Abbott and Costello. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
In any case, like, you got to take my wife and put her in some TV show. And they're like, sure, we'll find her a great role, even one that she's like not well cast for. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, she was not good casting for that Hera. She came off as like salty and annoying. It's
Oh,
like
she was a space Karen. She
she
was
was
a
a space
space
Karen.
Karen.
She was a space Karen. By the way, before I forget, there was Backyard TARDIS asked. Backyard TARDIS is a good friend of the show. He's been on this before on this show, and he's a good friend of mine. He also is with me on the streams of Quantum Leap that we do every Thursday, where we go over the classic Quantum Leap show. So Backyard TARDIS, Price, would you rather watch Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan instead of The Acolyte? You know what? Uh, Say what you want about that Parent Trap movie with Lindsay Lohan, it at least it does whatever it's supposed to do. Yes, it's not gonna, it's not gonna top any lists. It's not the best show. It's not the best movie ever made or anything like that. But you know what? I believe a young Lindsay Lohan, has two twins. One, even with her silly, English accent, uh, that she attempts to do. I believe that more than Amanda Stenberg with that weird L. Why does she have a weird L in her name? That Amanda girl,
Amandla. Yeah, I don't know.
Amandla. It's like
Uh,
somebody was like, let's just be annoying, like even with her name. Her parents are like, "Look, we have to plan this. Like, we want to make sure she annoys people. Let's like call her
yeah,
Amandla."
yeah. Oh,
Oh, really
yeah. It's
annoying.
yeah. Oh man, I would watch Lindsay Lohan's version of The Parent Trap. Hell, I'd watch Lindsay Lohan's Freaky Friday rather than have to watch this
You
season
know
of
what?
The Acolyte again.
Those movies, they didn't, you could say that they were remakes. So maybe you could say, well, the originals were better. I like the originals. But you
Yeah.
know what? Those weren't remakes that ruined the spirit of the original. They
No.
were remakes that sort of touched upon the spirit of the original, doing something maybe more modern, but not ignoring what sort of makes the original special. I think that back in the day, maybe when they did these kind of remakes, they had a little more sort of understanding of what made those movies popular to begin with, and they at least did the best to kind of keep the same spirit.
Yep.
Uh, I do think that they were able to do that. They can't do it these days. These days, instead of like see, here's the thing. Let's take for example the Parent Trap. Originally, what was it? Haley Mills or something? Who
Haley
was it? There was
Mills. Yep.
Haley Mills. There's two young Haley Mills girls, whatever, and this was like two Lindsay Lohans. Okay, so it was two girls, and they brought two girls, and whatever. It's the same general idea, and they just made it more modern. Today, it would be like two like gender ambiguous. I don't know what. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
they
yeah.
wouldn't. They wouldn't go for the same type of remake. There would be like 70 things shoved in here to fit quote unquote modern audiences that by the time it was done you wouldn't even recognize it was the same movie.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the sisters wouldn't be a sister anymore. It'd be a brother. Uh,
Right, it
yeah.
would be a brother that used to be a
Used to
sister.
be a sister, exactly, yes. They'd have to put some sort of modern values, in there like that, would turn away most of their audience. People would not be interested in seeing it. So, yeah, that kind of thing, it would be pretty much inevitable, and that's why I think one of my mantras that I repeat all the time, in chat and on streams and stuff is just no more remakes. No more remakes. I love The Highlander. The original film, The Highlander, is fantastic. It's a great example of
Amazing,
rogue
amazing. Yeah,
filmmaking. They really did it on a crazy low budget. They brought in all of these people that barely even were known in Hollywood at the time, and they made an amazing film. Yes, it's got its weak parts, but it's really good. And they even made the TV series later on that I thought was pretty decent. It wasn't great, but it was pretty decent. Uh, I don't care who's going to make it. I don't care who's going to be in it. I don't want to see a remake of that movie. That movie
you,
is perfect the way it is.
you know what I'm hoping is that they actually find a way maybe to justify its existence. Meaning, I hope it's not just a regular straight up remake, but maybe they try to do something different than what we've seen. I'm really, really hoping.
They could surprise me. There, I mean, I can't think of
I don't
one
know
off
for
the top
sure,
of
but I'm
my
just
head,
hoping.
but there are good remakes that have been done. But I just, these it seems like there's these movies that were just a classic part of my childhood, of me growing up. And it's like I don't want to see anymore. I don't want to see any more prequels to
I don't
things.
want to see that either. I just want to also say Matthew Marcillo had a comment here. Still so disappointed Ray Stevenson had to deliver his final performance. Such a lame, stupid series on
Oh,
Ahsoka. Yeah, back to us talking about Ahsoka, just so we can wrap that up. And I
yeah.
agree with Matthew. He was the only bright spot of that show. You could tell that he knew he got a crappy screenplay, but
Yep.
he really, really tried. He
Hmm.
tried with every scene you see him to give like a little bit of edge, a little bit of mystery, something about his delivery that you're not quite sure what his intentions are. He was given nothing, and you could tell how hard he worked. And it's really, really unfortunate that that
Oh,
really
yes.
is going to be his final performance, because I feel like he made a real effort. But it is what it is. What can you do? That's the problem. That's the problem that Disney takes these big name or these very talented actors, uh, and they don't know what to do with them. I mean, look, we were talking about Ahsoka. Ahsoka had Rosario Dawson, who generally is a likable person.
True.
Ahsoka, has a likable vibe. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, was a character that always had, at least when I saw her in the earlier things, there was something a little bit playful about her, a little bit fun. You know
Sure.
what I mean? I understand
Yeah.
they were trying to make her a little older, but that doesn't mean she has to be like some sourpuss. You know what I mean? They could have made her a little more like happy, like I don't know if to say happy, but a little more playful, a little bit more, charm. And
Yeah.
Rosario Dawson is perfect for that. And they somehow took her and told her, be a miserable sourpuss.
Yeah. Stand there, cross your arms, and stare into the middle distance for a while. And that's how you're going to show that you're a stoic character and you're strong. No,
It's
like
just embarrassing. It's really just embarrassing.
miserable. And
If
yeah,
you,
coming back to Ray Stevenson, God, yeah, it's terrible that was his last big performance, his last performance on screen. I've loved him ever since I first saw him in the series Rome, which was fantastic. It kind of petered out at the end, but it was really good, and his character was really good there. Seen him in a few other things since then, and I've always enjoyed his performances. And yeah, he was when he was on screen, you were looking at him. You wanted to see what he was thinking. You wanted to see what he was doing. You wanted to see, what was the next thing that was going to come from him. You wanted to know what Ray Stevenson was doing while he was on screen. With a lot of the characters, you couldn't care less whether they were there. They brought nothing, and he was really giving it his all. I kind of feel the same, bringing it back to the Acolyte. Lee Jung Jae
yes,
is
he is a good actor. He
yes,
doesn't deserve to be on this crappy show. I think that you could tell how important it is for him, like, to take his craft seriously.
sure.
He's taking this very, very seriously, but he's given nothing to work with.
No, yeah, and yeah, clearly, I mean, supposedly, I mean, who knows? But supposedly, he learned English, at least a workable English to be able to do this role. And I mean, he's put a lot of work into it. And when he's on screen, you can see, like I said, you can see in his face. You're wondering, okay, what's he thinking? What's going on?
He is
Behind those eyes, where a lot of the characters have dead eyes. You don't even.
No, he really has that kind of, you could tell the guy knows how to act. And the fact that it's not his first language and he had to like somehow learn so much just to be able to be here. And still he probably every time he's on screen seems more interesting than any of these Amandla
Yes.
Stenberg
Oh
and
my goodness.
I don't know if it's Daphne, who plays that weird creature girl. Who even knows?
Oh, she was the one who played X-23 in Logan.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's
So
I've forgotten her name off the top of my head here, but yeah.
yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. In any case, listen, the Ahsoka show. Just back to what we were saying, the Ahsoka show. You're right. That was the sign that this franchise was completely dead. I think that Obi-Wan. There were other signs.
Oh
Obi-Wan,
yeah.
that show being bad. They had a few moments where they could have tried to win back fans. Uh, After the Last Jedi was a disaster. Rise of Skywalker, they had a chance to course correct. They didn't do it. Mandalorian, they started something to a season or two. They blew it. They also fired Gina Carano, which I don't think they should have done.
Nope.
And at the same time, I'm not saying that alone, that the whole series like rested on our shoulders or anything, but I think that given that the fan goodwill was so shaky as it is, to start doing stuff like that is usually not a good thing. There was already an actress that people kind of enjoyed. They liked her. She was communicating with the fans. People liked her. They may have liked her political opinions, may have not liked her political opinions, but she was a good ambassador for their brand, whether they liked
Yeah.
it or not. I think that she was a good ambassador for their brand, if nothing else. And they basically, it's almost like it annoyed them that she was a good ambassador for their brand and we're trying to get rid of her by any means necessary.
Yeah. Well, she may have been an ambassador for the brand, but not to the customers they were interested in
Right.
catering
I
to.
mean, they
So
want they wanted that 10% or 5% of the population that may like whatever it is that they're peddling
yeah.
versus, maybe 60-70% of the population which just wanted good Star Wars. And there were just a lot of people that liked it, and it was seemingly what they wanted, the strong woman and all that. And again, I will say, it's not like I think that she did something that is now defining Star Wars, and it's the best thing that ever happened. But I think it was nice to have like it's hard to never underestimate what it means when you build relationships with your audience.
Hmm.
And I think that she did something good, and I actually it sort of it spoiled the sentiment. If there was a bit of a sentiment that they're trying to, course correct, you had Luke Skywalker show up at the end of Mandalorian season 2. It seemed
Hmm.
like maybe somebody was trying to do something, and then they just, there was something about it that just didn't feel right. So that was one thing. And then the next thing they did that Obi-Wan show, which was a disaster. Book of Boba
Oh,
Fett, another disaster. But Obi-Wan was the card that they had. It's like everybody likes Obi-Wan Kenobi. Even people that don't like the prequels like Obi-Wan Kenobi and like Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Even people that are not fans of the prequels will say, you know what? He did make a pretty good Obi-Wan Kenobi.
yeah. I thought he did fine. Yeah. Outside of I didn't particularly enjoy his performance in the Phantom Menace, but beyond that, I thought he did pretty well, especially going into the third the
I
prequel
think in
films.
Phantom Menace, and this is just my opinion, I think that the idea was really to put an emphasis on Liam Neeson's
Sure.
Qui-Gon Jinn, and I think that they were purposely, George Lucas was purposely, sort of toning down Ewan McGregor there because he wanted that kind of process that Ewan McGregor is sort of this kind of more reserved pupil of Qui-Gon Jinn, but at the end when there's like a moment that he has to, kind of step up, then it becomes more meaningful. So even though I agree with you that, if I look at it throughout most of Phantom Menace, I feel like a lot of people there are just walking around the desert aimlessly for
Yeah.
way too long, trying to find that part of the ship with the pod racing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of
Oh,
issues
yeah.
with that movie, but I never looked at it and thought I don't like Ewan McGregor even
Yeah.
there. Even there, I never looked
Yeah.
at him and said I don't like this guy as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I always
Mhm.
had a good feeling about him.
Yeah.
So so
And
when
he
they
is a
did,
talented actor. He brought what he could to the part. I think if anything, it may have just been written poorly for him. But like I said, I did enjoy his evolution to that character in the second and third films.
yes,
I felt like there was a line drawn between here's who he was and who you see in the original trilogy of the films.
yes,
You could start to see that character evolve, which
and
worked
and
well.
and if we're being honest, the most of the acting there really like lied on his shoulders for those second and third prequels.
Oh, it did.
I don't think that Hayden Christensen is the worst actor in the world. I think that he was an inexperienced actor thrown in front of a green screen and really confused about a lot of things, and George Lucas's directorial style didn't really help him. But I think that he kind of got the short end of the stick there. He's not terrible, but he didn't get he was thrown into the water, and I think that it was a bit of a steep swim for him. But I didn't hate him even then. Natalie Portman isn't necessarily a bad actress, but it doesn't look like she brought all of her passion to that role. I've
No.
never felt that she brought like 100% passion to the role of Padme. I think that she kind of that was her collecting a check and doing kind of a mainstream success situation. I've always felt that she kind of thinks that she's better than Star Wars. That makes any sense?
Yeah.
So in any case,
Yeah.
I mean that's just my part. I'm not saying she's
Yeah.
a bad actress or anything like that. I'm just saying that in those movies, I don't feel like she sat around there like, studying her lines all day in front of
Yeah.
the mirror and thinking like, what maybe I can deliver this line with like more gravitas. You know what I mean? Like I think
Yeah.
she's just like,
Wasn't really bringing her A game,
no,
to the set.
and George Lucas wasn't getting it out of her either. It's not like George
No.
Lucas was like making the effort here because he's not focused on actors and whatever.
Oh,
It's not his thing.
yeah.
And she certainly didn't step up. The only one out of the three that were quote unquote considered the leads, which was like Ewan McGregor, is the only one that I felt like said, okay, I don't care what I'm given here, I'm going to bring my A game.
Yeah.
So, but that didn't even help because when they brought that show back, that series on Disney Plus,
Oh,
I feel like he didn't bring his A game. I feel like he knew it was a turd. He just said, "You got to hire my wife. I'm an executive producer here. You're going to pay me a ton of money, a ton of money. Like that's what you're going to pay me. I'll read these lines, these crappy, miserable, shitty lines. I'll read them, and yeah, and that's what he did."
Well, and we're told essentially at the end of the prequels that he is going to go off and he's going to immerse himself in the Force. He's going to communicate with his old master. He's gonna learn things, and he's gonna grow in his understanding of the Force, essentially. And instead, he just goes off, cuts himself off from the Force, and starts butchering sand whales. I couldn't really tell what was going on there, but then they completely mess up, or at least seemingly mess up, a lot of the established canon up to that point, that he's just been looking over Luke this whole time, making sure he stayed safe. And then there's this ridiculous adventure with Leia.
That
She
really, it's
Oh,
unacceptable that they paired him with Leia, and
yeah.
also the fact that like they brought back Jimmy Smits, who's just like like she's more important or whatever it is. She's just as important.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like
supposed to help her too, man. It's like,
she's
what?
important too.
Yeah, that's like,
Stop
no,
already!
protecting her is
No,
your job. You took
yeah,
that twin. I'm watching after
right.
this one. You keep her safe.
They split them up. That was the whole idea. You
Yeah.
take care of her, and then those guys take care of him, and he's in that area. And then let's face it, if there was anybody that was going to be a Jedi there at that point in time, like, they were kind of thinking about Luke, not Leia. Leia was supposed to be like a diplomat.
Yeah. And
Mm.
and then we get ridiculous scenes of him trying to escape from one of the most secure facilities in the entire galaxy with a kid under a big trench coat.
It was like the Sanford and Son version of breaking out of a spaceship. I just needed that music. Like when they walked out with the hat and the thing, I needed like the
Yeah.
music, and I needed like Red Fox to come out and tell a joke.
Oh man. Yeah, it was and again, it's like the prequels as far as Star Wars fandom, I loved the original films. Absolutely adored them. That was when I was fairly young. In fact, literally one of my very first memories is seeing The Empire Strikes Back. I would get up on Saturday mornings. I would go and turn on the TV. I would watch Star Wars. I loved it. And I would just swim in it. I would watch it so much. And I had all the toys and everything. Loved that show. And then, or movies. And then when the prequels came out, my faith was shaken a little bit. I didn't love them. And in fact, after the Attack of the Clones, I did not go see the third movie in the theater. I was like, nah, I'm done. This is crap, And as it turned out, actually, the third movie is probably the better of the three prequels. At least it had something really happening. There's consequential stuff going on to the story, and then we have this long break, and we start to get the new Star Wars. And honestly, I did not hate the first of the prequels, Force Awakens. I didn't hate it, not initially. There were definitely some things about it that I was like, ugh, I don't like that, but I did not hate it. But once we got to uh, the Last Jedi, I literally left that theater feeling ill, and I just didn't want anything more to do with Star Wars. I did not see the third film in the theater. Once again, it's like, nope, you've broken faith with me and what I feel like Star Wars is. I'm not interested. When they started making the television shows, I gave them a shot, and actually, I really enjoyed the first season of The Mandalorian. I really did enjoy it, although it was clearly a pastiche of some different. This episode is sort of the seventh samurai, and this episode is the jailbreak episode or whatever. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done, and the second season was more hit or miss, but I also enjoyed it. I did like it. The
They
third
still
season,
skated off the goodwill of the first one,
they
but
did
they,
a
but
lot.
but they did enough right in it that you kind
Yes,
of let it slide. When you really think about it, it's like that second season was, at best, you could describe it as uneven, but there were at least moments that you enjoyed it. But that was it. And once the Book of Boba Fett came out, that was the end of
oh
that was
yeah,
the
yeah.
end of the road, really.
The Book of Boba Fett, honestly, again, I did not hate the Book of Boba Fett, but the entire time I was wondering about why we care. Why do we need to know about this story? What is interesting about this? I don't get. And of course, they had to go back on that decision to move Baby Yoda, move Grogu off of the show. They had to go get him back because we need him for merch and whatnot.
Right.
So that was very cynical kind of move that really changed the show. Um, and then we got the third season of Mandalorian, which was just a mess from the get-go. It was awful. You have
Embarrassing. It's embarrassing, that third season, really. And
oof.
then after that, I'm trying to remember now the timeline. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi came before the season 3 of Mandalorian. It's
It
already
did, yes.
all a
Yeah,
blur to me. But I think that after the failure of Kenobi, uh, but Kenobi was the chance that they still had. They had enough to lure the audience. People, if they would have delivered like a really good Kenobi series, you would have won back a few fans. It was something that they had that they
sure.
could use, and they squandered it terribly. And
Yeah.
then Mandalorian season 3, another squander. That's a squander. And like you said, Ahsoka, they had the Rebels show. maybe you thought maybe Filoni will go. He once
Yeah,
studied under Lucas. Maybe, I've heard people criticize him for years, saying that he kind of, he's not as great as people thought he was, and that he's not that great. And I just said, you know what? He's not the best thing ever, but he can do a few things. And after Rebels, I had this feeling that maybe he can deliver a decent show. That show was a disaster. Continued the same kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi vibe. And at this point, like, who really thought that the Acolyte was going to be any good? I think that
exactly.
any sane person knew that the Acolyte was going to be complete and utter crap. And there's no really real surprise here. And now, just to jump into today's episode,
Yeah,
uh, we're going to be covering this episode today and kind of looking at it and giving a little bit of an analysis. This, like we started saying at the beginning here, is probably considered quote unquote the best episode of The Acolyte until now, and it's a terrible episode.
yeah,
And maybe that just shows the level of the show, that in an episode that's kind of like you said, less offensively bad than the other ones, you still walk out of it thinking it's like dumb, it's bad, it's poorly written, the dialogues are bad. They tried to make the action look cool, but they didn't. I don't even think they really did that. It's like all in the dark, and from far away you see lightsabers. It's like, eh, you know what I mean? Like, we're
yeah.
talking about Phantom Menace. You could say what you want about those pod racing and everything, but once you have like Darth Maul against Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, that is pretty cool. There's nothing you can do. I feel like even people that hate that movie will acknowledge that that part is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is clearly the episode when they were talking about in some of the interviews that, oh, we've got lightsaber fights that are going to be better than anything you've ever seen. It's going to be better than Duel of the Fates. It's going to be better than the fights that you saw in the prequels. It's going to be amazing. All I saw was the ridiculousness of one character taking out like 7 people. And again, kind of in the dark, smeary CGI, bunch of characters we didn't care about. There was no emotional connection at all to what was happening. So, okay, sure. You had some action. Yay. Much better than the previous episode, which had absolutely nothing.
But even this felt like this, like extension of the previous episode, because they were
Oh
in the
yeah,
forest again, just walking around in the
sure.
same exact location. I can't believe that with what is it? How many millions of dollars for each episode? It's like 18 million an episode. I can't
Was
remember.
180 million total. At least that's what they claim the budget was. I'm sure it was actually a bit higher than that because there were some reshoots involved.
Right,
That would put it at $22.5 million an episode and
man.
$750,000 a minute.
Man, is that embarrassing, because for the past 2 episodes they've been standing in the same forest, which means they're probably in front of that
Yeah,
volume screen, that volume green screen at
probably.
Lucasfilm. And man, does that forest look cheap. I mean, we're in 2024. That's the best you could do with $22 million an episode. That is outrageous
Hmm.
that they
Yeah,
can't do anything better than that.
well, and of course, we found out from the previous episode from one of the writers inadvisably going on X and talking about the making of the episode and answering some questions that people asked. Uh, we didn't get the fight with the Wookiee Jedi because they couldn't afford it.
They
In a
couldn't afford it.
$22 million an episode show, they didn't have it in the budget to show a lightsaber fight with the Wookiee Jedi in that episode. It's embarrassing.
That is very embarrassing.
It's just awful. So yeah, yeah, I guess did you have some slides or anything you wanted to show
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
I was
episode?
actually we were gonna jump into the
Okay,
episode, so we
let's
can
go for it.
definitely do that. Uh, we had so much to talk about just with pre-watching it, but I guess let's now look at it. I think I was subconsciously trying to avoid having to look at this again, but
I'm not
what?
sure I can blame you. There was something inside telling you don't do this. And
Yeah, but what are we gonna do? Let's look at this thing. So everybody, we're gonna be kind of looking at some scenes here and going over it. Not there's not much to see here. Uh,
honestly, there's not.
Every time I see this stinky Disney logo thing for the Star Wars and that music, they
Oh yeah.
managed to make Star Wars annoying. I see they're like dee doo 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 dee dee dee, and like you see those spinning whatever that they try. Do they
Yeah.
still trying to put that Kylo Ren mask? For a while, they were trying to make that Kylo Ren mask a thing. Now I don't
Yeah.
even know if they do that.
I think it's in this series. That little opening with the flashing faces has changed from one series to another. So they
Yeah,
did not show any of the Kylo Ren, and there were a couple others that were
it's
taken out.
always annoying AF, but you know,
Yeah, yeah, they're trying to do the Marvel thing, and you know,
yeah, it's
get
not that's
started.
not gonna
So
work.
yeah, we get rolling right there at the top. Basically, it picks up right where the previous episode left off. And from what I've heard and some rumors, it seems that this show was chopped to hell in the editing room.
It certainly
Uh,
looks like it. It
it
certainly
doesn't
looks.
it? It feels like it. You can feel that
It,
this should have gone somewhere, but we sort of just stopped.
and there's just like this, you know, two characters are there, and other characters you think they were like 50 miles away, but they're right next to them. Where are they? You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Something about this whole thing is awfully weird.
yeah.
You know, they all seem close to each other, but far. I mean, they couldn't have walked 70 miles away from each other, and when all of this is happening, but you'd think that they are because you know they don't communicate with each other. If that makes any sense.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, like how did they sort of coordinate moving to other parts of the forest or whatever? It's
This thing with the multiple lightsabers, you know, the fact
yeah.
that you have like 70 lightsabers in different colors, it's not going to make the scene any better. And
Mhm.
they're like, it's a good action scene. We'll do the action like behind a tree with a bunch of lightsabers in the dark and some person like, you know, running around. And, you know, it's a nice cheat, I guess, but it's not like, you know, this isn't real. This doesn't look like people like spent like months training to do this cool action scene. This looks like just trickery, really.
Yeah, well, and it's very, it's kind of hidden behind the trees and stuff. And honestly, there's a stylistic reason you could do that, but at the same time, here it kind of feels like they were just covering up
Yes,
for
yes. This isn't
some.
stylistic. They're not
Yeah.
like they're not sophisticated enough. You know, if you watched a Tarantino movie and suddenly like, you know, there would be like an angle that you didn't think of and it's like behind a tree and there's two people with a sword fighting, you better believe that there would be a reason why you
Yeah.
saw that angle that way. It would turn out later that Tarantino would have like would go back in time, have you see that same scene from a different angle, and then you'd be watching it from you'd be aware of the scene from two different angles and would have like a new meaning. But these guys are no Tarantino. This is just a bunch of, you know, kind of bottom of the barrel you know, what is it was I think the person that directed it was like something Garcia Lopez. Isn't it though that one of those like Lucasfilm shills I see sometimes?
I think so.
I feel like his
I
name has
didn't
popped up
actually.
before. I maybe I'm like confusing him with some other shill. So if I am, I'm sorry to that guy. If let's say he's like a
Let's see.
legitimate director and I'm pinning
Director
on him.
was Garcia Lopez. Oh boy, he's known for doing 5 episodes of the live action Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I knew there was something dumb here. Like, you know,
Oh,
that's your guy.
yeah.
That's the guy that you gave, and this is like, you know, quote unquote an important episode. Of course, this thing sucks, and you know, there's a reason for it. And then again, each time I can't stand. I know. I'm sorry. It's not. I don't know this girl. I mean, based on her rap and her video, I don't especially like her.
Oh,
I don't
jeez.
like her shtick. I don't like all this victim nonsense of this girl
No.
who's Danish and her father is like a white Danish man that she like sits around and like talks about how for 400 years people have ruined her life. Like she hasn't been
Yeah,
alive 400
exactly.
years. Her father is like a well-off like Danish man, white man, yet you wouldn't know any of this based on the way she talks and all the
No.
victimhood things she was rapping about. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. And she wasn't even a good actress before that. You know what I mean? Before all that stupid cringe video stuff and the attacking the, you know, the viewers, Even
Yeah.
before that, I thought she was a terrible actress.
Yeah. She's clearly an activist and not an
Not
actress.
an actress.
And
Yeah, that
you know, the only reason she got this series was apparently that the former assistant to Harvey Weinstein
really saw
has
something special in her.
saw something in her when she was 13.
She
Yeah.
are you, it seems like that she
Ugh.
looked deep inside of her to find these things, I assume.
Possibly, yes. But no, she's awful. I you there's as like I said with Lee Jung Jae, I can't remember how to pronounce it exactly, but when you see him
Squid
on
Games
screen
guy.
and he's Squid Games, yeah. When you see him delivering his lines, you see there's he's acting with everything he's got. He's acting with his face, with his
He
eyes,
is
with the
trying
way that
real hard.
he's
Trying
standing,
real hard.
and you can see there's something going on behind those eyes. I don't see anything going on behind her eyes. She's delivering some lines and sometimes delivering them very poorly.
Very
And,
poorly. I don't
and that's
believe
it.
I don't believe that she's two characters. When this show started,
No.
I joked about the fact that back in the day on Knight Rider, you had David Hasselhoff playing two roles. He was playing Michael Knight, and I think it was like Garth or whatever. He was playing like an evil version of Michael Knight,
Yes, Darth Knight.
essentially.
Yep.
In any case, that was like Academy Award winning performances compared to what Amanda Stenberg did. I mean, he
Yeah.
really at least tried to make an effort to have like, this one's a jerk and this one he's like a good guy. I don't believe it. There's no difference. We'll get to that soon
No.
enough in the
Yeah.
episode. But like, not only is there
So
no difference, they even like made that even a bigger joke in this episode.
yeah.
But in any case, while I'm sorry, is it Osha or May? I guess Osha. Osha is
Yeah.
good supposedly.
Osha's the good one. Yeah,
The
that
good
wants to
one.
be a Jedi when she's a
Although they're
girl.
both, just
Oh
misunderstood
yeah.
victims in this whole story, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They were both wonderful, wonderful women, stunning and brave, and they became victims, and that's what's important for you to understand here. I hope you
Victims of
get
the
that.
Jedi.
Victims of the Jedi who are now bad. So now you have this, like, this kind of phony Darth Vader thing.
Yeah.
You know,
We jokingly call him Smilo Ren. Oh,
you know what? He does look like Smilo Ren. I think that's a good name.
those ridiculous teeth in the mask.
It feels like somebody, like they watched Venom or something, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Can we make like a
Ooh.
Jedi, the Sith that kind of looks like Venom?"
Yeah.
Why? Nobody knows because they can't think of anything else. Or like, we don't have any other ideas. Just make
But
him look
don't
like
put
Venom.
any eye slots in the mask so you can actually
Right?
see anything.
No slots at
Yeah.
all. Just
Yeah.
make him look like Venom.
Yeah.
And then like they're one against the other, like and then Yord, whatever that jerk,
Yes,
shows
the
up.
word. Yeah, so once they so we have Smilo there takes out half dozen Jedi, just
Right.
wipes the floor with them all at once, and then he's also seen tanking laser or lightsaber blows to his forehead, and it knocks out their lightsabers when they do, and of course they're kind of confused. But this is an established thing actually in Star Wars lore. This would be something called cortosis. It's it's an ore. It's very rare. It's very difficult to mine, but it is the density of it and the electrical properties of it allow it to deflect and disrupt lightsabers, and prolonged contact, a second or so of that prolonged contact with that can cause a lightsaber basically uh, to glitch out, to overload, right? And so that's what we actually see with a couple of those Jedi. They strike him, they hit him in the helmet. He actually looks like he's got a some sort of gauntlet or something too, some sort of armor on one of his arms that he uses. And so a few of these Jedi during the fight strike at him, and they hit him with their lightsaber, and their lightsabers sort of sputter out for a minute. before they're able to get them back. So that does explain somewhat how he might be able to take on a number of these Jedi that they may not be familiar with cortosis. Again, it's known in the universe, but it's fairly rare. But they also imply that he's wearing that helmet and somehow it blocks Jedis from reading his thoughts.
That was weird to me. That felt like a different franchise. You know what it reminded
It's
me?
like Magneto's helmet.
Magneto, yes, exactly. That's what it reminded. And specifically, like I was thinking of a scene. What was it from First Class or one of those? What was it, X-Men First Class or something? Or the other one? I don't know. It felt like something that, like a scene out of that movie.
Yeah.
Was it First Class? Where was it that, like, within the movie there was something that, like, somebody was saying, "Oh, you can't read me because I did the thing." I don't know what. Like, which X-Men movie had this kind of thing? Was it First
There's
Class?
definitely several of them.
No, for sure, but there was one especially. I don't know now.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one specifically. It's been quite a long time since
It's been quite a long time since I've watched them too.
I've seen the second one recently. Watched that with my kids, but that's.
I'm just gonna go with First Class. I could be wrong, but I thought in First Class. Of course, the idea of Magneto and all these ideas, this isn't exclusive to one movie. It also appears in the comics. But I'm saying, like, there was one movie that really focused on that thing, and it kind of reminded me of it when I watched this episode. I'm going to go with First Class. If I'm wrong, somebody in the chat wants to correct me, you can. Going to go with First Class. All of them. Yes, all of them.
Yeah.
Fine. All of them is fine. I'll accept that. In any case, back to our...
Yord. Yeah, I keep forgetting his name. It's a terrible name. Yord. Yord gets injured. And so once, of course, very weird. Master Soul, just like all of these Jedi are fighting, and he's nowhere to be seen.
Where is he? Where are these people? It's some people are saying maybe it's like editing, and it could be editing, but it could also be just incompetent filmmaking. This is what happens when your whole movie is that all of your main characters are sitting in the same, like, 5 square feet within the same dumb forest in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
Then they just don't know what to do. It could be that they edited it, but it could just be that they're incompetent and they didn't know how to do this. And it looks like a few kindergartners made this.
Yeah.
That's also a possibility.
They seem to be following, Kung Fu movie rules where only one can fight at a time. Only one.
Right.
I don't know. It's
no. You're right. But in those movies, there's at least a certain kind of charm, and there's cool fight and action. I mean, there's nothing here that justifies this whole situation. And then,
again, Soul just apparently not being around. The others all get killed, and then he shows up. I don't really understand what's going on there, where he was, why he wasn't there. There's nothing to indicate where he was. And then, of course, now we're seeing we also have Jeckie.
I can't stand the name Jeckie. Jeckie is like the most annoying name. They couldn't even think of a cool name. Jeckie. That sounds like it's something.
We'll take Jack. Jackie is probably the name of, like, Leslye Headland's dog or something.
Right.
So they thought, we'll just change it and make it Jackie.
Maybe her first love.
I mean, we know that Osha and May are named after a soap. So, yeah, it's pretty bad.
So anything's possible, really.
Yeah. She apparently is not helping the rest of the Jedi. She's off on her own, trying to apprehend May, the bad twin.
The bad twin. And the bad twin is kind of really, strong in this fight against her because she's so stunning and brave.
Yes.
Because in Star Wars, the more of a victim you are, the stronger you are.
Why they trusted a Padawan to go off and catch this Jedi assassin.
That's
no idea.
That's how Leslye Headland rolls. That's that she puts her trust in people.
So they send a Padawan off to catch a Jedi assassin who's killed several Jedi masters at this point. And so that we see them sort of tumble and wrestle for a bit while she tries to get her in cuffs, and then we get back to the fight between Saul and Smilo Ren there.
That thing, what did you call the thing that they like fire the what they have like a blaster that has those kind of like it's a stun, like they're
Yeah, it's
stunning
just
them.
like it's some kind of stun weapon. They call it a
Right, and
blaster in one episode, but yeah, it's clearly
that's that
some
whole thing
stun
that
weapon.
like they keep using it, and they're like she knocks her out, she knocks her out. Like really can't stand that. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, and
They-
then she tries firing it at the Sith guy, and it apparently just bounces off. I don't understand.
He's just too smart,
He's
too
he's got
smart
that
to be
helmet
effective.
on his head, so apparently that protects his whole
That
body.
Magneto helmet is really helping
Yeah,
him.
it's really, really powerful stuff. Um, yeah, again, we get more dialogue here. We get some dialogue where they try and imply more about Saul having some sort of dark past, but
Yeah,
again,
it's a dark past.
no explanation, just more dialogue, more talking about it. And then, of course, it's revealed that this is
No, this is what happens when you talk about mystery boxes and like all those stupid things where like everything goes wrong. Because when she was with this guy in the forest, you're kind of thinking to yourself, this guy is so lame and stupid that if they make him like the bad guy, that'll be
yeah,
really disappointing. And
yep.
as I was thinking that, then he's the bad guy.
And it's really disappointing.
It's
Yeah.
really
That's
disappointing. It's like there were two people, like there was one other person with her on his island, and it's this guy, and it's like, yeah, this was the easy solution. This was like, if you don't know anything about writing and you're an idiot, this was the solution,
yeah. And
in my
so we
opinion.
we did see eventually after Jackie did manage to subdue May, she joins in the fight, and of course now she's killed. And we also see a bit where Yord and Osha are off in the forest, and they encounter those weird moth roly poly bugs. I heard someone call them venom moths. That's a
Yeah,
terrible
they basically they
name.
tried to like do a callback to the previous episode of those stupid bugs. I
Yes,
thought it
that
was a
they're
dumb.
attracted to light. Oh, we knew that was going to come back.
Yeah, I mean it was stupid enough already before, but this was
Oh
even worse
yes.
somehow.
Yeah. So we do get Chimere, I think was his name, who was clearly this Sith, and he manages to get a hold of May. He's very angry because she had betrayed him by kind of going back on her quote unquote deal. How you make a deal with your master? I don't really know what that is, but usually a master trains you. I don't know. It's weird. But they went back on their deal, so he's very upset. And we get some more dialogue between him and Master Saul, talking about, oh, who are you? What do you want to be? Whatnot. And we do get to see Yord, who comes back into the fray. They kind of come back in the fight, and Yord is rather quickly dispatched.
Does that mean he's killed? Because I'm really hoping that we won't see him again.
Oh no, I think he's done. He did the neck snap move.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm
And
hoping that
so I'm
it's like
pretty
not.
sure he's gone.
If this
Uh,
wasn't Disney Star Wars, I'd say like next time it'll be like you suddenly see him get up and it's like,
yeah,
wow,
he's gonna
my neck
stand up.
hurts.
Oh yeah, I need a chiropractor now.
Right?
Um,
Got any good massagers
yeah.
to help me with my neck?
But of course, then we get while he's having this ongoing dialogue with Saul about who he is and what he wants to be. He says, "Oh, your people would call me Sith." Okay, so he is a Sith, right? He doesn't appear to have a master of his own. He appears to be sort of learning it on his own. I don't
He's the
know.
OG. He's the OG
Yeah,
Sith, I guess.
but of course, this goes against canon. Just like in the previous episode, well, the Sith haven't been seen for a millennia. Okay, well, here's a Sith. It was only 100 years ago. Not sure how that's going to work out, but my favorite part of this was that we get this Chimere, whatever his real name is. He's telling he's telling Saul that, you know, all I want to do is live free. So all he wants to do is not be oppressed by the
Right. The
Jedi.
Jedi are oppressors. They oppress
Yeah.
people,
So
in
he
certain
says,
groups.
yeah, he says, I don't make the rules, the Jedi do. So victimhood
Yeah.
culture is apparently a thing in the Sith.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Sounds like nonsense to me.
Yeah.
But then, they do this thing. And then just all this cutting back. OSHA, May, now it's OSHA, now it's me. I'm like, geez, just shut up already. And this is its best episode. I'm like, this is so annoying.
Yeah,
She
we
has to
get
go.
more
That's
dark
just
forests, muddy CGI, and then yes, he faces off against Saul. Saul, they finish their fight. By the way, they start with lightsabers, and then they throw their lightsabers away, and they fight hand to hand. More of our force foo that we love so much from the previous episodes. So they fight hand to hand. He manages to subdue him. He gets his lightsaber. He's ready to kill him, but he doesn't, because that's not what the Jedi do. I'm sorry, no. Jedi kill Sith. That's one of the things they do. They kill Sith because they're too dangerous to try and apprehend. They're too dangerous to try and imprison. The only choice is to kill them. So it's really stupid that they, oh, well, no, Jedi don't attack a person without a weapon, whatever. No, he's a Sith. You would end him. That's simple, right? And clearly they were trying for a callback to Revenge of the Sith, and that fight near the beginning of the film, where we have Anakin who eventually beheads Dooku. They were trying to call back to that too. So I don't know. It was, again, most of this episode is just a real mess. So
yeah. And I guess I'm looking at this thing here. These are just dumb conversations. OSHA, me, OSHA, me.
yeah.
Oh, it's like,
OSHA. Well, you know what happened? I'll tell you about it later. I'll tell you about it later.
right, I'll
So it's
tell you
like,
about it
okay,
later.
so we gotta wait another episode for you to
That's another
explain
mystery
exactly
box.
what
It's like they keep
happened.
teasing
Yeah.
that like Soul did something
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, and it's clear. It was clear from watching the third episode that the Jedi did something. Something happened. There was some sort of conflagration or sabotage or something that happened off screen where the Jedi caused their temple to explode, because clearly lighting some silly notebook on fire in a big stone temple is not going to blow everything up and kill all the witches, right? So
True.
it's pretty obvious that at some point we're going to be coming back to something about, oh, the Jedi ended up killing all these people and they killed my moms and whatnot. But
In
I
any
don't know.
case, May is going to end up being this like sympathetic like victim.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not going to like hold her accountable for anything.
So yeah,
She's just going to join them and she's going to redeem herself by helping them or
yeah.
some crap like that.
We missed one thing as we were moving forward through the slides. We get to see the Sith guy, whatever his name is. He gets taken out by bugs because OSHA comes back and sticks her little droid thingy to his back, and it lights up, and so the bugs attack him. Right? Oh, it's embarrassing. Right? It's, yeah.
It feels like Bugs Bunny. It doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie.
No, can you imagine like Darth Vader being taken out by a horde of giant moths?
Yeah,
Right?
that would be
That's like,
embarrassing.
he's earlier on, he's shoving force users out of the way, and he's using all sorts of wicked moves with his lightsaber and whatnot, taking out all of these Jedi. Some bugs come in and it's too much for him, and so they carry him off, and it's pretty pretty embarrassing. But then of course, yeah, we get you had there a little bit, we get May and OSHA, who are having a little talk, having a little chit chat.
Wait.
two characters delivering terrible dialogue. The same actress delivering two characters really awful dialogue. It's gonna be a mess for you there. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta
I
get
kind of
there. You
lost
go.
it.
Yeah, now
Okay.
you go.
Oh no, it's the wrong episode. Oh, this is awful.
So yeah, we do get those two characters of Osha and May who are talking to each other about their life and everything that they've been doing. And I can't believe I lost you. I don't want to lose you again. Blah blah blah. It's
And like she hugs her, but it turns
poorly
out that
written dialogue.
that part is really like CW cringe, if you
Oh, it
ask me.
is. It is. It's a mess. It's poorly written. It's poorly performed.
Like the Flash season 9 cringe.
Yeah.
You know what? Arrow, forget about it. Arrow season 9 cringe. Like
that's harsh.
That's harsh. Like Flash, like at least that guy was there. He did some halfway decent job of trying to be the Flash. The screenplays were awful. But somehow Arrow became even worse.
Yeah, so we get the two of them talking, and then May decides to knock out Osha, the good twin, so that she can take her place. She changes clothes. And so,
man,
yes, we get a Parent Trap episode to wrap up.
I will say this, though, is that I did believe she could fool Squid Game's guy that she's going to be Osha, because they both act the exact same.
Yeah,
and once she took a lightsaber and fixed her like the length of her dreadlocks to be the same as
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like they actually made it. Now they gave her an excuse for why they look the same, and she doesn't know how to act, and she acts the same anyways. So
yeah,
it's going to actually work for her.
Yeah, and the only one that's going to know that it's somebody different is going to be our little beaver friend, the tracker there. He's going to be able to smell the burnt hair from her giving herself a lightsaber haircut, and he's going to know that it's not Osha. So
yeah, I mean that's that's basically the first thing that we wanted to discuss. Did we go over this episode? I feel like we have.
I mean, yeah. Really, again, there's not
there's not a whole lot of stuff going on here
that happens. There's a whole lot of fight scenes. I know my wife would be incredibly, she's not watching this series with me, but I know she'd be incredibly bored. She just gets completely checked out when it comes to really extended fight scenes. She's like, okay, I'm done. I don't just, tell me when they get back to actually having a story.
But it's not like there's no suspense here. I don't care. They haven't made me care about any characters.
Yeah. Jim Dow mentioned in the chat on YouTube that how's she going to cover up the tattoo on her head? She's got that scar tattoo, whatever, on her head that Osha does not have. So not sure how that's. I mean, yeah, she's got shorter hair, but she's still going to have that mark on her forehead. So interested to see how she'll cover that up so that she's not found. But yeah, it's just really sad to say this is the best episode that we've seen.
It is, but there's nothing really to say. I mean, this is the best episode and it's crap. It's complete and utter crap. And they can't seem to get anything right. This show, if I had to sum it up, it really, I mean, I guess you could claim that it has a higher budget than the CW, but you wouldn't know it by watching these two Forest episodes. Mm-hmm. They look completely CW. The past two episodes have been complete CW. From the writing to the acting to the visuals to everything.
Yeah, it's. I just have to wonder how we got here, right? how did Star Wars, this incredible intellectual property, this incredible franchise that we've had around for decades now, how did it get to this? How did it fall this low? And honestly, I don't have a good answer for you. I wish I did. It's just,
and I guess I'm trying to think for a second. I mean, there were a few other things going on. Have you seen all of that? I don't have a lot more to say. I think we've covered a lot of the issues with Star Wars, at least here, and we've reviewed it. I don't have much to say. I'll say that it didn't feel like quality Star Wars. It looked and felt cheap, and it was another bottleneck episode in the same location as last location, and none of these are good things. But moving forward, have you seen what's going on with James Gunn's Superman?
I have a bit. Yeah, I've seen a few of the screenshots. Oh gosh, I saw a new one today, or not screenshots, but
Set photos, yeah.
set photos that have been coming out. And yeah, I saw the new one. I saw a couple of him in his outfit over the last couple days, and then I saw a new one today with him as Clark Kent, which was especially awful.
Yes, I didn't
Uh,
like that at all. Let me see for a second if I can find this thing.
Yeah, the first few that came out, there was one set photo that showed him and what appeared to be, I believe, Mr. Terrific, the DC superhero, black DC superhero.
Yeah, there was
Um,
something like that.
and there was another one that showed a little bit more of the S on the chest of the outfit, but it's very weird, like that the outfit doesn't seem to fit him very well.
No, everything doesn't fit well, and I think that was I was on I was talking to some friends on Midnight's Edge After Dark, and I think Tom Connors said this that or maybe somebody else on the panel that this kind of baggy thing here, it doesn't look so good. Henry Cavill, they really tailored that suit for him in a way that really looked great. But this thing kind of looks just frumpy,
Yeah.
and it's an issue. And this is what I said on that stream, is that the haircut that Clark Kent has, it's very much like the modern male teenage haircut, which is what I called on that stream the broccoli haircut. I guess kids that are teenagers today want to look like a piece of broccoli, and this is what I guess Clark Kent is doing, that kind of uh, teen haircut.
Or you got Yord, who likes to look like a rooster. That's another
Yeah, he kind
very
of looks like
modern
a broccoli
haircut.
guy too.
Yeah, so I have to agree with a lot of people. I do not like the S, the symbol there at all. It's not the S symbol is not great. It looks a lot like the symbol from uh the Kingdom Come comics later on, which made some sense for that character in those comics. It was much later in Superman's life. It's very very angular, which I don't really get, and just the suit itself, I don't understand. I have heard, I was on a stream with some others earlier this weekend, and they were saying that what they do now is that they make these suits so that the actors can move in them a little bit more easily, and then they go back and they just CGI all the muscles and abs and everything onto them after the fact, which okay, maybe that's what they do. I don't know. Right here, it looks terrible. Don't know
Yeah,
what to
for
tell you.
sure.
They had that very first photo that came out from the set that was just terrible, of him putting on his boots while the town was being destroyed in the background.
That
Like,
was like a memeable dumb thing that like people were just making fun of for ages.
um, yeah, honestly, I have so little hope for this movie. I don't think a new Superman movie can be done well. I hope it can. I really do.
I mean,
I
I'm
would
not hoping that
love,
it fails. I'm hoping for it to succeed, but
yeah.
they're not giving us a lot of hope here.
I rather like James Gunn. I really did enjoy the Marvel films that he made with the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're some of my favorite Marvel films. I think he's got a good sense of humor. I think he could have fun with this, but at the same time, he's got to take it seriously. Superman needs to be a hero of heroes. He needs to be someone that really stands above everybody else. He can't just be some schlub.
I
And
agree.
I I I want this to be good. I really do. There's nothing that would make me happier than to be able to get back to the theater and watch some movies that I really enjoy. This year, I hope that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be good. I hope that the creators of that really got to make the movie that they wanted to make, and Disney didn't meddle too much in it. Because I think if that's the case, I think we might get something pretty fun and interesting. Outside of that, I don't really know what else to look forward to this year. Uh,
Yeah.
I know I'll be taking my kids to see Despicable Me 4, which I'm sure will just be a bog standard sequel, but maybe it'll be fun. I don't
The
know.
kids like it.
The kids love it. If it's harmless fun for the kids, it's like last year. A lot of people had some very critical things to say about the Super Mario Brothers movie, and yeah, taking in the whole movie and really being critical of it. Yeah, a lot of missed opportunities, a lot
I
of things
enjoyed
about it,
that movie, to be honest.
but it was a decent movie. It was enjoyable. It didn't uh make a lot of the same mistakes that other films today are making. It was enjoyable, and I hope we can keep getting more of that. A lot of people, a lot of the discourse that's been going on around Star Wars is that people just want to hate. They want to hate on it, and that is absolutely not true. I would love if this show was good. I was convinced that X-Men 97, I don't know if you've seen that,
I
Price.
haven't yet.
I was convinced that was gonna be a garbage fire. I
That actually, I've
really
been told is
enjoyed
good.
it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I was blown away. I was waiting for those episodes to get posted every week so I could watch them, and I was really pleased. Yes, there were some things they could have done different, but as a fan of the show from the '90s, I thought it was really well done, and it was again missing a whole lot of this sort of modern values, modern audience stuff that many of these projects feel like they have to squeeze in. I would love for this Superman movie to be good. I would love for James Gunn to be successful with his new DC universe. He's got a lot of great characters available to him there. I'm interested to see what he does, but I guess I just don't hold out a lot of hope for it.
I don't have a lot of hope for it either. I mean, I can't get much from these pictures. It doesn't look like it's good, but maybe I'm wrong. That's
Yeah,
just the impression I get.
it's going to come down to the performances. It's going to come down to the overall story and how much we can enjoy that. Uh, Little things like costuming and stuff, those can be forgiven. When if the movie's done well, if it's enjoyable, if the characters are likable, if it's missing all of those modern tropes that we just have to see inserted everywhere.
I see.
Let's hope. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's hope. So I didn't especially like these either, and we'll just have to wait and see about it. When does this
Yeah.
movie come out?
Oh goodness. I don't remember seeing when this was due. I think it's next year. But I'm not entirely sure uh, when that's going to be hitting theaters. Um, hmm.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we went over the Acolyte episode 5 reaction as promised. James Gunn Superman cringe. I'm willing to give, just to sum it up, I'm willing to give James Gunn a chance. He's done some stuff that I don't hate, but at the same time, something about the complexity of the different colors and whatever's going on in this apartment, I don't have that same feeling of confidence.
Exactly. Yeah. There's, and I think we've just had our patience tested so frequently in the box office. We've seen so many of these projects just come up short. It's hard to say, yeah, I want to go see that because I don't know.
I'll give it a fair
I don't know.
chance. I'll
Yeah.
give it a fair chance, but he's not helping.
Yeah.
He's
I've
not
heard a
helping.
lot of people say the same thing about, the Deadpool and Wolverine film coming here in a few weeks. Like, "Why would you go see that? It's gonna be terrible." It's like, "Well, I can't guarantee that." Yes,
I
there's a
never
lot of reason to believe that new movies coming out in the theaters are gonna be terrible, but I can't really assign that to this
No, and
film.
it's also I think that people sometimes don't understand, or at least I can only speak for myself here. I don't want movies or shows to be bad. They are
Exactly.
bad. It's not that that's what I wanted. Once they're bad, I try to make the best of it. And if I can tell people, that's not good, maybe tell a few jokes at its expense, it's fine. But it's not like I sit around and I'm rooting it for it to be bad. If I would
Yeah.
have watched The Acolyte and it would have been terrific, then I would have been just happy.
Mhm. Yeah. And I've engaged with a few people regarding, properties like the Acolyte, properties like Deadpool and Wolverine, saying, "Why are you supporting? Why would you support Disney? Why would you go see Deadpool and Wolverine? They've been making such awful stuff. It's all woke, quote unquote." It's like, well, it's not. Yes, Disney has been doing some pretty awful things lately, but we need to be supporting creators that do make good things. If it's a good movie, we need to be in the theaters supporting that good film. And hopefully, I mean, again, I'm not sure I hold out a lot of hope for Disney, but hopefully they are going to be looking at the box office. They are going to be learning some lessons. They are going to see if people show up for Deadpool and Wolverine, because it's not what they've typically been putting out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has just been a dumpster fire, for years at this point. So, yeah, we want
Yeah,
it to
for
be good. We want it to be good, people. We really, really do. But we're not going to pull our punches and tell you that something is good if it's garbage. Just
Didn't I
not going to
share
do
the
it.
photo of Clark Kent and Superman before?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I wasn't really looking. But, yeah, I mean, there were other photos there, and I said before in a few different places that the only thing that I actually think is gonna do well in this movie, be good, is actually the casting of Lois Lane, because I think that actress is perfect to play her.
She does look excellent in the role. Am really interested to see how she portrays that character on screen, but she looks the part. She
It
really does.
it's not only a looking thing, that she's a good actress. I don't, go out of my way, like, on many occasions to say, "Hey, I kind of like this actress." There was this show called Mrs. Maisel on Amazon, and
Yes.
let me tell you something. That show is the prototype of a show that would not interest me and that I wouldn't watch it. And I actually watched that series. I think I watched the whole series at different points. And one of the main reasons that I watched it is that I really enjoyed the performance of this actress. It's the truth. I love the energy she brought to it. And even though it was a show that was the opposite of what I want to watch, just
Mhm.
as somebody that also likes to watch like a good performance from an actor and actress, I
Absolutely.
genuinely enjoyed watching her in this. And when they said she was going to be Lois Lane, I thought to myself, I can totally see this, and she's going to deliver. And I still feel that way. I'll be very surprised if I see this movie and I think, oh, she's not giving a good performance here. It's not like a Natalie Portman in the prequels. I think she's gonna be really good.
So this is Rachel Brosnan, right?
Rachel Brosnahan, I
Brosnahan.
I
Okay.
like this actress. She has a lot of personality and a lot of charm, and on that Mrs. Maisel show, she plays like a. It's sort of, I think, like a hybrid between a few like historical comedians or
Yeah.
whatever, but
I've seen a few episodes of it.
she's sort of like a
Yeah.
Joan Rivers type.
Mhm.
The show itself, I'm going to be honest, it's not my favorite show. I don't love everything about that show at all. But I will say that, like, every episode, no matter what's going on, this actress, like, brings, like, 11 out of 10 in that show.
Yeah.
Like, I was constantly impressed. Maybe it's other people wouldn't be constantly impressed by, like, by her, on-screen presence and everything. So when I think about like Lois Lane, she has that kind of like fire, if that makes sense. She has that kind of,
Sure.
this actress can pull that off. Let's see what happens under James Gunn, what he wrote, how he directs, but I think that she can totally deliver. So that's the one thing that I'm less worried about. David Corn Sweat or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. There's always this feeling is like Henry Cavill was like more looked and felt the part than this guy. Christopher Reeve, I liked him better for this role, a lot better. But maybe he'll surprise me. Maybe I'll look at him and I'll be like, you know what? This guy is great. But right now, I'm not sold yet.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I'm with where they're going with the story because we do have so many different characters that are supposed to be showing up in this movie. I really feel like if we're going to be rebooting things and we're going to be making this a Superman film, uh, I don't need Supergirl and the Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific and any number of other characters, Maxwell Lord and stuff, like, all showing up in this
No, there's
film.
too much desperation to try to quickly build something here right out of the gate. It feels like some of these companies, and we were talking about Disney and about a DC over at Warner's. I feel like some of these companies just never learn their lessons. They're like, this didn't work, let's try it again.
Yeah. Uh,
But
that was the failing of the DC EU, was they just tried to do too much too quickly. They tried to squeeze it all in so they could catch up to Marvel, and what they should have done is made some focused films about different characters and put them together slowly, building out. That's what they did with Marvel. We got a Captain America film. We got Iron Man films. We got Thor. We got to see those characters in their own environments, in their own stories, and then we brought them together. We didn't say, "Oh, here's one movie here, one movie there, and then we're gonna make the Justice League and put everyone together." And yeah, it just
somebody's asking me here, what about Dean Cain as Superman? I didn't hate Dean Cain as Superman. He's not like at the forefront when I think it like as like Christopher Reeve for me was Christopher that was the best.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve was incredible. He was just made for that role, and he worked really hard, to fill that role.
He took it seriously.
He took it very seriously.
He took it very seriously, and he had that kind of presence and charm and charisma and everything. I mean, when you look at his suit, although this suit today, like it's not. I don't think it's any better than whatever he had. When you look at his suit, you could say it was very simple, very of its time, very dated. That you could make a lot better costumes or whatever today, but man, was his performance as Superman convincing.
It was. His performance was great, and even, I mean, I'll be honest, the first film, the story is not incredible. It's not a fantastic story. It's okay. It's serviceable, but the performances bring it out.
I do think that there's a lot of elements of that movie, though, that later a lot of other superhero movies that wanted to be superhero movies really looked at that as the blueprint. The whole story of how you see the younger Clark and how he then becomes Superman, there's a lot of good things there. I can understand maybe by today's standards, if you look at it, there's some stuff you can nitpick there. But overall, I've always felt that it's like a fantastic movie. You can't get me to not like Superman 1.
No, I absolutely love that first film.
And Christopher Reeve just knocks it out of the park. There's just I can't think until this day. Really, for me, he is the ultimate Superman.
Yeah, I mean.
I think Henry Cavill looked the part and he went to the gym and he's likable enough, but they just didn't give him good material.
Yeah. Well, my mother was absolutely obsessed with the Superman and Lois television show. She loved that. She loved Dean Cain in that role, and I respected him in that. I think he did really well in what he was given with that particular series. And I don't know. I just kind of like him. As a person. He hasn't really had a whole lot of other work. that he's done. But I
I think
enjoyed
part of it maybe
him in
because
that
there's
role.
political views, but I'm
I think that may be a
gonna
part of
go
it.
out on
Yeah.
a limb here and say
Yeah.
that maybe they didn't like his politics, but
Hmm.
he certainly could have done other kind of TV projects, if nothing else. You know what I mean? Sometimes Hollywood has some actor, they decide something about them, and suddenly you don't even see that actor for like, popping up for small things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He didn't need to replace Leonardo DiCaprio in movies, but I feel like he was really pushed aside and not given a lot more stuff to do. He wasn't terrible as Superman. He wasn't terrible at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a it was a TV show with it never really had a particularly big slot on the nights when it was aired. There wasn't a terrible amount of pressure, I don't think, on him in that role, but I thought he did well. So yeah, I enjoyed Dean King.
Absolutely. So yeah, I managed to answer that question. And then I'm trying to think. I had a I was trying to start a ticker, but somehow it didn't work.
Oh,
Uh Ticker. I don't know why it doesn't work. It was such a nice ticker. What can I do?
well, I'll just have to imagine how incredible that ticker
Oh,
was.
here. I think
Oh,
it's
there we
back. I've done it.
go. Ah.
Look at this ticker. This is the best ticker
Mm.
in the history of live streams. I dare say that this must be like one of the best tickers
Ooh.
ever committed to screen. I mean,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes, totally. We need Jodie Turner Smith. Is that her name to come in here and
Yes.
do a yes,
Oh, no.
yes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and
What a piece of work.
we're not even discussing the Acolyte anymore. Oh, I have to change. I have to change the. First of all, I want to tell the audience here that here at the Night Owl, we take our production value very seriously. So you're going to see some really, really serious titles here.
Yes,
Uh,
only the best.
right. So now we did James Gunn's Superman. And then what did I call it? Superman Cringe? Or it was a question. I
Yeah.
was asking people if it was cringe. Wait, this is taking me a long time, but I'm going to do it. Only the best for our viewers. Let's see. How come I can't make it work? Oh, here. It's James Gunn Superman cringe. I feel like we probably lost like half our audience. They're probably like,
Oh, man.
what is this dumb?
I still, I still really appreciate the Max Fleischer Superman cartoons from the early days. I think those were from the 30s. They are just incredible. They're so well done, and just some great little compact Superman adventures. When I think of Superman, I think of uh, uh, I think first of the 70s and 80s Superman. And then I think of those, after Christopher Reeves, I think of those old Max Fleischer Superman cartoons. Those were some of my favorites growing up. I
Yeah,
also didn't. I also didn't mind the portrayal of Superman in the Superman animated series that followed up the Batman animated series. I thought that was also really well done.
I don't think
And
I've ever
they,
watched that. I have to
yeah,
check that out. By the
they
way,
go ahead.
uh, I just want to say that when I was young, I liked Mighty Mouse
Mighty
because
Mouse.
he was like Superman, but he was a mouse. It seems
Yeah,
stupid, but as a kid, the combination of mouse and being like a Superman, I really like that.
that's great. Yeah, I really remember Danger Mouse. That was one of my
Yeah, with Penfold.
yes, with
Penfold.
Penfold.
Man, I'll tell you
Yes.
what. Sometime recently, I think on either Netflix or I don't know what, they added Danger Mouse, and I saw it, and I'm like, I actually watched this as a kid. I wonder what this is like. and I pressed play, and man, that animation was terrible. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it was terrible in a way that's like I remember it being bad, but I didn't remember it being that bad.
Yeah.
That is like unacceptable animation. It's just like, you know, it's really unacceptable. That's all I can call it.
Yeah, it's the older ones are pretty bad. Yeah, I think they did I think
Tenfold.
Netflix or one of them, yeah, did a sort of a rebooted version of the
Oh,
show. It wasn't too bad. I believe I had watched some of it. It was not the same, didn't have the same charm as the original show, but yeah, the animation was definitely better.
it says Dean Cain is now a Nevada sheriff. I didn't know that, but I wouldn't be
Okay.
surprised if that.
Sure.
I mean, why not? You got to do something, right? I mean, what's he going to do?
Yep.
Just sit there and do nothing?
Yep.
May as well be the sheriff. Worse things you can do than being the sheriff, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, now for our final piece of discussion, and I'm going to update the title here because this is something we do. Just some of the production value that the audience here has grown accustomed to here at Price of Reason Studios. The ticker is going to be, updated. Now Stellar Blade is a hit. Oh shoot, what did I do? Is it up there? Is it the thing, or are we still a James Gunn
Still
cringe?
says James Gunn.
Save. Here, Stellar
There
Blade
we
is a
go.
hit.
Yes.
So I guess now there you see things in the mainstream media that they're all salty because the game is doing well, because it's a game that had some lady walking around and kicking ass and looking decent in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so many. What crazy battles there were around this game. They wanted to censor her clothes and all this patch things and all this stuff, and all these people are upset because it's a woman that looks like a woman.
Oh
We
yeah.
live in such a strange day and age that making a game with some woman that looks like a woman is now considered a problem.
Yeah, and we saw this week there were some leaks about the new Wolverine game showing off the
Manja or
poses of
whatever.
that awful man jaw that they were going to have on Jean Grey. So yeah, I mean it's an ongoing problem, but yeah, this game has really gotten under a lot of people's skin uh with yes, having an attractive woman and who was in fact modeled after a real woman. They actually got a Korean model. It's not her face, but it is her body. It's her measurements. So it's an actual woman's body. It's not some sort of crazy, you know, wet dream of a character, right? It's an actual real person who has these features. And yeah, the fact that this character is shown one to be incredibly good at what she does and kicking a lot of ass, and that the game was in fact fun, and that of course it featured a character who's attractive. This is clearly not acceptable in today's market,
No,
except to customers who seem to love it now that it's sold over 1 million copies. So
I think it's probably even more than that worldwide.
yeah.
But I mean, the bottom line is that it's selling like hotcakes, and it
Hmm.
makes perfect sense. I'm trying to find that article where Paul Tassi from Forbes whines about it, but now I can't seem to find it. Maybe he deleted it.
Who knows? They're definitely not above that kind of stuff today. But yeah, it's been doing really well in the market, and the studio has confirmed they're going to be making some updates to it and adding a photo mode. So that's really gonna that's really gonna piss some people off. There's going to be photos out there floating around of a very attractive and well rendered Korean woman. Uh, so looking for looking forward to that, I guess. I did play this game. It's not really my thing, not really my kind of game in general, but it did look really good. And you know what? More power to those who want to support it. So
I first of all, I like the idea that they, show a woman that looks like a woman. It seems very simple, but I like that they're doing that. As far as video games go, usually when we get to that, Dread Roberts is usually the expert here
sure.
when it comes to our streams. But I will say this: I'm sort of a former gamer. Until a certain year, I played a lot of video games, and then I kind of stopped because I had other things going on, and I felt like I was playing too much. So uh, with that being said, as sort of a, if you want to call it, former gamer, I am able to see like a little bit of a footage of something or some kind of gameplay or whatever it is, and still determine if it's something that I think is cool or not. And everything I've seen about Stellar Blade seems cool to me. It seems like something I like. I like what I'm seeing. And even though I don't really play video games a lot today, if somebody gave me a chance to play that game, I would. It looks cool. I absolutely would, and I probably would enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people are enjoying it. I just, I have a whole lot of stuff on my plate. I do still play quite a few games, but I've got an incredible backlog. So some of the stuff I'm playing is fairly old. I've been playing. I won't say old. It's not incredibly old, but
No,
I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077. Finally getting around to that one, and so
I play really, really old. I love
yeah.
retro gaming. I have
Oh
like a
yeah.
retro gaming console, and I play a lot of retro games. I really enjoy that. I love going back to kind of the history of gaming, even if it's a simple game.
Absolutely.
Just to sort of enjoy. There's so many games that you kind of take for granted that like I'll show you and everybody will be like just have a good chuckle that it's like old and stupid and dumb. But if you take into consideration when they were released and what they accomplished when they were released, you kind of understand that these games are very important. These kind of old retro games, uh, so many things that you enjoy today were built upon these ideas when it comes to gaming.
Oh
Like
yeah.
somebody had to come up with something initially to lay some kind of groundwork. And even if the graphics are terrible and all this other stuff, there's certain passion that still is there, if that makes sense. You can still feel that enthusiasm.
Oh yeah. And there's so many new ideas, so many new things that back then is it wasn't just three different genres and some sports games. There were just so many different ideas and so many different takes. Let's try this, let's try that. And yeah, a lot of them didn't work, but some of them were incredible. And we've been building on those ideas for decades. Yeah. I absolutely love retro gaming. I spend a lot of time going back and playing old games, even just to just sit back, just kick back and relax for an hour or something, going back and picking up uh, an old Game Boy game or something,
For
just
sure.
just for a little while, just be like, oh, I just kind of enjoy this very simple, very basic game that I can just dive into for a little while and then check out, right?
Sometimes I like even revisiting like the old Zelda games.
Oh yes.
I just enjoy doing that. They're fun.
Yeah,
I still have this kind of magical feeling when I play these games, and I still enjoy doing it. Uh,
absolutely.
I will at some point, and I always say this and I don't do it, but I will at some point go back to doing, at least some gaming. Especially recently when I see some of these games that people tell me you really have to play it. I'm really tempted. The only thing that kind of concerns me is that I don't want to be in a situation where I'm just playing and that I get too much into it. Because I really do love video games, so I would have to somehow monitor the situation, but it's totally worth it. Some of these video games look good.
Hmm.
A lot of them
Yeah.
are crap, but at least some of them look good.
Well, and there's one thing I've got my son hooked on is I have a Steam Deck, and I've got him playing a bunch of PC games that are 10 years old, 15 years old, that run amazingly on that little system. And so he can go back and play some of these really classic games rather than having to, oh, I got to have this latest new game, whatever. He can go back and play those. He can go back and play, I can even set it up for him to play games from like the Game Boy Advance and so on. He doesn't really like to go too far back with the retro stuff, not as much as I do, but Jim, Tetris on the original Game Boy. I mean, how can it get any better than that?
Yeah, no,
What a
Tetris
game.
on the original Game Boy is fun.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
By the way, and I'll just say this, and I'll wrap it up, that somewhere in recent years there was something where I ordered it online, and it looks like a Game Boy. It's probably like made in China, like
Oh yeah.
in basement somewhere with like by children or something. But I'm kidding, of course. I don't know who made it, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
It could have been children in a dungeon in China.
Yes.
I mean, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that I encourage that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of those little retro emulator consoles. And actually what I've been playing on recently was there's now if you go out and look for it, there's a kit that will essentially let you build your own Game Boy Color, because they've gone back and they've made a basically they've made a processor that can act like the processor from the Game Boy Color. And so
Yeah.
you've got a new screen, and you can buy all the cases and buttons and everything, and you can build your own Game Boy Color. The screen is not the same type of screen. It's a more modern screen, but that means it's backlit, which is great. And then you can actually load original cartridges from the Game Boy or Game Boy Color into that and play them. But you can also there's ways to find cartridges that you can use with like SD cards and stuff to load ROMs on there. It's
What I
pretty
did
awesome.
was I got something that sort of what you described, and this was a few years ago. It looked like a Game Boy. It was in color, but a lot of the games there were actually they looked like some of them were just the NES games. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They were there. Some of them were maybe Game Boy, but it was done really well. I really
Mhm.
really enjoyed playing with that. I think that because I bought some kind of cheapo thing from China, it didn't last a million years. Maybe I played with it for like half a year, whatever it is, a year, but totally worth like the few dollars that I spent on it. Totally worth it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of those in a variety of different form factors out there on like Amazon, or again, you can find them on various different Chinese sites and so on. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing to be able to go back and kind of you have that same form factor of that original Game Boy. Or I know I saw one someone was showing off on a YouTube channel the other day that was looks like the Game Boy Advance SP with the flip up screen, which is really nostalgic too. So
For sure. So yeah, I mean, again, I think that gaming is an important field to pay attention to, because as much as we complain about all the stuff happening in Hollywood and all the agendas, it certainly hasn't passed over the gaming industry. And I'm happy to see a lot of people being vocal about it. I
hmm
know that, like I said, I'm less of a gamer today, but even in the fact that I'm kind of like former gamer, whatever you want to call it, I still get annoyed when I see these things.
oh
When I
yeah,
see like the man jaw, the Lara Croft man jaw thing. Why would you do that to that character? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
I'm
it
so
really does
annoyed.
feel, it feels a bit like the entertainment industry is starting to come out of this, at least a bit, right? That maybe some of them have started to learn that they do have to make product for their audience. They can't just make whatever thing they want and expect everyone to show up. And I feel like the gaming industry is a couple years behind. They have a lot longer development life cycle when it comes to making new games, and I think a lot of these things are going to be coming out for the next couple of years, and it's going to be pretty rough in the market. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's going to be some opportunities for some corrections on the fly.
Maybe, or maybe just a lot of these studios will close, and maybe the ones that'll stay will wisen up and start
Yeah.
focusing on actually making games that people want to play,
Yeah,
and
and I
not.
think I think there is gonna be some of that for sure. There's definitely gonna be some of these studios that are gonna just hit rock bottom. They're gonna shut down, and there's gonna be other studios that are gonna start to spin up because I do know, recently from the quote unquote Gamergate 2. There's a lot of specifically men and mostly white men who have more or less been driven out of the larger AAA companies, and they've gone on to make their own studios. And they're spinning up new IPs, they're spinning up new game ideas, and I think they're going to get it done, and they're going to make some stuff that's going to be really entertaining. And I think a lot of these more traditional studios, these studios that have been around for a while, now none of the talent that was there before is still there. They've all moved on. They've all gone to start their own companies, try new and different things. And a lot of these studios that we have looked up to for a decade are not the same studio that they were 10 years ago. And we've already seen that with oh, what was that? The new Arkham game, the one with the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Oh, that's a terrible.
We've
I
we've
didn't even play that
already
game, and just by looking at,
oh
whatever video, that I was able to
yeah.
watch that, people were sharing online, man, that game, I'm so happy that I didn't play it and that I didn't buy it, but at the same time, even just watching it as like a former gamer watching it, I still got really annoyed.
Yeah, this is, we have what ostensibly is Rocksteady Studios, which made the previous Arkham games, which were stellar. The first game just came out of nowhere, just blew up the market. The second one, Arkham City, was a masterpiece, and the third game, for all its failings, was still pretty enjoyable. But then, a decade on, we get Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And it's clearly, I mean, it's pretty clear that nobody who made any of those previous games is part of this studio now. They've all moved on. It's been taken over by activists, and yeah, it's a mess. And I'm pretty certain that within the next year or so, we're going to see Rocksteady close. The game has been a disaster for them, and there's a lot of other studios that are going down the same path. We're already seeing it, so we'll just have to wait and see which ones survive, and which other new studios manage to fight their way to the top.
I agree. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out, but and we'll continue to monitor it.
Yep.
And I guess we covered our main topics of the day. There were certainly other things that could have been discussed. I know a lot of people were discussing this kind of expose with Disney that was discussed, today.
Sure.
I just want to say a few words about it, and then because maybe it's important to mention something about it before we go.
Sure.
But I'm not going to talk about it for 7 hours. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I don't really think there's a lot there to talk about just yet. I
Hello?
think uh, with the first.
Hello?
Hello? Still there?
Hold on. I think that there was a
Hello there?
technical issue, and I can't hear you.
Okay.
But I want to fix that issue because
I'm still here.
you're here. I can hear you now.
Okay. You can hear me now? Yeah.
This
Maybe
is the
something dropped out for a moment.
top of the line. It's actually, I'll be honest with you, it's my fault. I
That's okay.
yanked the headphone thing from
Oh,
the jack,
no.
and I was talking, and I'm like, "Why isn't he answering me?"
Why
And I'm
can't I
like,
hear
"Oh, I'm
anything? Yeah.
talking to myself." Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
Disney
yeah.
leak.
With the Disney stuff that's recently happened. So far, the Disney files from James O'Keefe, I don't think that there's a whole lot there that's necessarily Um,
No, I don't think there's much at all, and I think
yeah,
that, I say this as somebody that, like, is annoyed with that company and has a lot to say and really unhappy with how they've run things and how they've ruined IPs and how they became overly political and how they blamed fans and, how they've treated employees that they didn't like their political views. There is so much that I can say about what I don't like about like how this company has handled its affairs and in all these years, like past like 7 years. But with all of that being said, as much as I want to, you know, expose or do whatever to show like what they do, I'm not just gonna blindly get behind this thing that with this O'Keefe files and just get all excited.
yeah.
This O'Keefe thing, it was a very kind of sensationalist thing to do. I don't have anything against O'Keefe, James O'Keefe, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I have nothing against him. Everybody has their hustle. I guess people want to make a living, and that's perfectly fine. That's his hustle. Like I have nothing to say. But what I will say is that those two people that are quote unquote the whistleblowers or whatever you want to call them, these
Mhm.
are two guys that were sitting on some date with some woman. I don't know what these women look like. I can only assume they're super hot, just sitting there. And under these circumstances, to get a few like tidbits from them here and tidbits from them there, that these two guys themselves are not like, in my opinion, the creme de la creme of whoever. Not that like Disney hires people that I even like, but I'm saying like this isn't the top of the barrel people to begin with. And, they're on a date trying to impress some woman. It's not the circumstances that you really feel that there's a serious investigation going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So far I think it's reinforced what a lot of us thought was going on at Disney.
Yes,
But I don't think it's really telling us a lot of anything
It
new.
it gives an on the surface look at maybe the company culture at Disney, confirming what it is that we've been saying all along, and it gives something. But even then, this isn't something that I could say is like 100% factual evidence. This is a lot of kind of hearsay of these two guys trying to impress some woman and babbling. It's not. I don't know what to tell you. And if the first guy, the guy that was like Jason Biggs from American Pie, if that guy, I thought he kind of seemed like a doofus. Uh, this new guy today, this like, I was saying he reminded me of Kumar from Harold and Kumar. The guy today, he seemed like a bitter Kumar. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
he didn't he came off to me as like a salty and bitter guy, and he's describing conversations he's had with other salty and bitter people, and all I learned from it is that, you know like with any other company, it's hard to advance to, to being a top executive. And his reasoning for why people don't get to be top executives just didn't add up. If you looked at the board of directors of Disney, it was in complete contradiction to the paint picture that he was painting. So I couldn't really take it seriously. Uh, it felt to me like, and I was saying this on another stream. I felt that these guys were two jerk offs. It just they don't rub me the right way. I don't like. I don't care what they're saying or what their politics are, or who they work for, whatever. I just don't like. I don't know. They seem like weirdos. I don't know what word I'm looking for. I
Yeah.
wasn't impressed by them.
Yeah.
These to me aren't they don't represent. The Disney is a big company, and I didn't feel that they represent Disney or even the typical employee at Disney. Uh, I'm not saying that the thing that happened here was completely meritless, but it certainly wasn't the sensation that we were guaranteed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's executives. These are clearly some pretty, whatever
Ye
their titles are. They're clearly some
Yeah.
pretty low
The guy
hanging
today,
fruit of
Kumar,
the
Kumar
executives here.
basically was like, he worked on some two-bit show. Like, again, it is a show. He was like one of the producers that dealt with the money on the show or whatever it is on behalf of Disney. He was like, crunching numbers and stuff. It's fine. I'm sure that he
Director of
has something to say. But this guy, when you think of like, I need to know some serious information, like from the insiders of Disney, this guy doesn't appear on my list, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. It appears to be director of production and finance.
Yeah, I don't know,
Uh,
man. Just
uh,
some pencil pusher. I don't know. I'm not impressed. The other
yeah.
guy, at least you could say, was like a senior vice president. Even then, even that guy wasn't impressed with. I even thought he
Mm,
was like a jerk off. But
yeah.
uh,
Like I said, I think this is interesting. I think, like I said, I think it confirms for a lot of us what we already suspected about
yes,
how some of the policies were being handled inside of Disney. That, yeah, they were not looking at white men for certain jobs. They were judging people based on the color of their skin. Oh, I'm sorry, you're not black enough. That kind of thing. It's embarrassing. It's quite frankly, it's probably criminal. Hopefully, we will wait to see
we've
and
known this
what's
for a long
happening.
time. These companies can get away with a lot of this stuff. They have like coded ways of explaining it, and they
Exactly.
did it, and it doesn't surprise me. It's like, these two quote unquote whistleblowers, basically, it was like they were saying the water is wet. There's nothing
Yeah.
they brought to the table that was all that spectacular. You could say, well, it's still nice to say that a few people that work there are saying this, and they're sort of saying what we're saying. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Not a shocker for me. I'm
Yeah.
not sitting around shocked.
It is going to be far more interesting to me. I'm really waiting to see what's going to happen with Gina Carano's lawsuit, because it does look like that's going to be moving forward, which means we'll be moving into
Oh, I
discovery.
love it. I love it.
And
I want to see the discovery. I'll be
yes,
so happy to see that discovery. That's going to be fun. If they can get that, that'll be like
absolutely.
whatever happens with the trial. If they can make all these emails read in public, that'll be a huge embarrassment for Disney.
Yeah, yeah, that might finally be the end of Kathleen Kennedy. There may just be too many calls for her head after some of those emails come
That's what
out,
I'm
because
thinking. That maybe this will be like the thing where they can't get away from it, and they'll
yeah,
have to do something. But we'll have to see how it plays out. I'm so curious. I'm so
yeah,
curious, and that's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing how it turns out.
yep. I definitely think that's going to make bigger waves than this investigative journalism that James O'Keefe is doing. So
Yeah, and again, it's nothing personal against James O'Keefe.
no, no,
As I say, I appreciate the hustle. At the end of the day, the guy has to deliver some kind of content. He wants people to click on it. He wants to create a sensational whatever. Not the only YouTube channel that's been built on this kind of stuff. I have people that I like and respect, or even I consider friends of mine that have YouTube channels like that. Some friends of mine, at least, and it's fine.
yeah,
It's fine if
yeah,
there's an audience for it. It's fine.
yep. And there's been there's been a variety of different things that he's done over his career for this kind of content. I think some people are definitely a little creeped out by the fake dates. I think there's definitely some people out there who do not like this idea. It's, there's a beautiful woman here and she's talking to this guy and they're recording it on the
It's
sly.
sleazy. There's something sleazy about it.
It,
You want there to be a
yes,
setting. And I guess Mikey the Mexican Iron Man, he said something like, "Well, how else were they going to get this kind of information out of them?"
true,
Maybe yes, maybe no, but at the end when I see that some chick is sitting there and sometimes kind of leading the questioning in certain directions, and these guys that just want to, take her home, and they're just babbling and a bunch of nonsense, to try to impress her. There's something about it that doesn't radiate serious journalism to me.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely a sort of a creep factor to it, sort of a gross, sort of greasy feeling about, yeah, oh yeah. So they were saying all this stuff because they really wanted to take this girl back to their hotel room or wherever, right? And so at once you're like, well, hey, these are people, they're executives, they work for this company, they said these things out loud, they were saying these things, but at the same time it's like, well, were they trying to impress her? Were they telling the truth, or were they just trying to
I
get a
think that in some cases they were trying to tell her what she wants to hear. But there's
exactly.
another thing. It's like they're all part of this kind of like, conformist group of people that all act and talk the same and have the same talking points and the same stupid agendas. They're all very similar to each other. It's no stretch, for them to just recite these things over and over again and on dates and whatever it is. They're just going with the flow. You know what I mean? That's just what they do there. And I think that maybe they seem to agree with some of what they're saying. Maybe some of it is true. Maybe some of it is even some interesting information that they've helped uncover. But for the most part, it looks like two jerk-offs on dates that talk too much.
Yeah, unless they're coming out and joining in on a lawsuit or filing, their own complaint or
Like their
something.
whistleblower, they've taken it all and put it on the line.
Exactly.
But this is
Yeah.
just a bunch of nonsense.
Exactly. Yeah. There is some amount of credibility that seems to be lacking from these men under these types of circumstances. So, like I said, I feel like a lot of it is just kind of confirming what we already know. Not sure it's really going to make big waves, overall, in the end. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully we get Discovery moving forward with the case that Gina Carano has, and we're going to get to see and hear some real
and that James O'Keefe that I have nothing against him. He's like wearing a suit. He's like talking like he's Lester Holt or something. I mean, come on. This is like this investigation here was like kind of flimsy. He's standing around there with and there's like a logo in back of him. And he's like talking as if like he's the new Woodward and Bernstein. Just needs like a pipe. He needs like a pipe and to light it up and sit it next to like the fireplace as he lectures us.
Yeah, where it really feels a bit more like To Catch a Predator, right?
Yes, something like that.
Feels a little creepy.
It is. There's something about it. There's something about it that it doesn't rub me the right way. Again, just to clarify here, it's a company that annoys me, and generally, like, I understand what the idea here is. I'm sure there's a lot of jerks there, and some of these like things that they said, it was somewhat interesting to see, but I still stand by what I said.
Yep.
And I guess on that very positive note, we can maybe just head out for the night. I want to thank everybody. We've had a really, really nice audience here on Rumble. And also, the people came from the Nick Weiser raid. That was nice for you to do that as well.
Yeah.
Really, really grateful for so many people that were here and participated. I was tired, and I'm sorry. I probably could have mentioned some names here, and I didn't get a chance. But Empress NM, Jim Duel, you had Bill S. Preston Esquire. Wow, the Bill S. Preston Esquire. It's quite an honor.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Calkins, that's a good, that's a friend of the channel. You had
we had Midnight's Edge After Dark. Looks like he probably dropped in for a little bit earlier.
Where did you see him?
Back at 12:37. Yeah, he dropped in for just a bit. Yep.
Oh, I wish I would have seen him. Sorry, man.
Yeah, looks like Tom was here.
It's always nice seeing Tom here. How did I miss? I don't even see it. I'm trying to find him. Sorry, Tom, in any case.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Backyard TARDIS was here. Trigger Jim, Daily Blossom. I think Rida Ibn Muhammad was here. Keely Chow, Davina Duckworth, 1772, Hawk Tua. A lot of Benoit.
I didn't see Hawk Tua in there. Yeah, that's. Are you not up on that meme, Bryce?
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, well you'll have to go look that one up. Hawk Tua. Yeah, no, it's there's a young Southern woman explaining her favorite move in the bedroom.
Okay.
It's a bit of a meme out there.
Benoit JDC. I'm not sure if I said it correct. The Peter Veckman fan site. Zakarat 315. Matthew Marcillo. Mark D with a C. Also a good guy. Good guys here. Matthew Marceau, also a good guy. I'm just sorry I didn't see Scribe Light was here. I don't know how I missed Midnight's Edge After Dark. I still, even now, I'm looking at everything and I don't see it. Can't see when they were here.
It looks like about 28 minutes ago or so. Looks like in the chat. So
Oh,
yeah, around 12:37, 12:36. But yeah, he's back in there.
well, it was
on the
nice to
YouTube
see him
side.
in any
Yeah.
case, and nice to see everybody. I hope I got to everybody, but if I missed somebody, I'm sorry. I'll get you next time. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to our guest, to Professor R2, who recently a few times here has kind of stepped in a clutch move and helped me put, this stream on, and I really appreciate it. And I have a feeling we're going to see more of him. And also wishing the best to Dreadroberts. Hopefully everything is going well for him with his family. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Today is Tuesday, so we're going to see you all on Thursday, where we'll once again be doing the Night Owl. And Professor R2, is there anything you want to kind of plug or talk about before we go?
No, not really. Great to be here. If you want to find me, again, you can find me at Professor R2 on X. If you want to follow me there, don't really have anything on my YouTube channel at the moment, but I'm thinking of some things. Might do something with that a little bit later. But pretty regularly guest over on the Mr. Brown Alliance. We have a lot of fun over there. Each week we've been reviewing the Acolyte. This week I don't think we're doing the show on Wednesday. I think we're doing our Acolyte show on Friday. Not sure if I'll be there for that one or not, but he does a regular culture and entertainment roundup on Sunday nights. So yeah, you can find me around there. And it was great being invited on. Thanks for the invite, Bryce.
Well, always a pleasure having you on here. Also, if you guys are watching it, whether you're watching it on Rumble or any other platform, make sure to subscribe or follow or like or whatever it is. It would really help, not just to this channel that you're watching this stream on, but also to Professor R2 stuff, because it's really good to follow him also and see what he's up to. I think that we have a lot of great guests here, and it's also worth seeing what other adventures they have, even when they're not with us. So you should do that. And I guess thank you all for being here. We had a really, really nice turnout tonight between the different platforms. And of course, we're very appreciative. And I want to wish everybody a good night. And we're going to see you again on Thursday. So have a great evening, everybody.
Yeah, take care. Thanks for all of you being in the chat tonight. It's great to see you.
Great to see everybody. Take care. I'll see you around, guys.